Welcome back to the casting couch. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our Salmon Showdown competition, but I'm going to extrapolate on one of the categories we've got in there, our Lucky Lure category. And basically this is going to give you my personal overview on the type of lures you should have in your box and how to fish them, when to fish them, and how to set all of this up. So when lure fishing for salmon, I like to travel nice and light, so backpack, rod and reel, just one combo, and a small tackle tray with a selection of lures and some basic pliers and a little bit of terminal tackle. So before I dive into the selection of lures and also rigging, I'll explain a little bit about the Salmon Showdown Lucky Lure competition. In front of me, I've got 10 different lures, and they're all different styles of lures in their own right. And what we are actually doing is we're nominating these as 10 selections that are all awesome salmon catching lures that are eligible to win the Lucky Lure. So essentially the first person that posts with one of these lures that we draw out randomly, it could be a different size, different color. We are going to run everything off our stock, but you can check the list in the description below on what we will have on offer. The first person to post a photo with our choice of lure, so we're going to keep that secret till the end of the comp. We're going to draw them out of a hat, so it'll be totally randomized. We will announce the winners at the end, so we're going to keep drawing out until we have winners with that, and you'll win some great prizes if you're registered in our Salmon Showdown competition. So I've broken the lure selection up into 4 little groups here. I've got what I like to affectionately call plugs and slugs, stick baits and bib minnows, your surface lures, so poppers and pencil poppers. And then I've got a bit more of a finesse approach, so soft plastics and a jig wig, or essentially, you know, a bucktail jig is the way you'll fish that. So there's a heap of different ways that people can set up for salmon. Myself, this is a nice example of a general salmon lure casting outfit. It's a 9'6" Ocean's Legacy Dream Cast with a 5,000 Daiwa Exceller and 20-pound braid. What I've actually done is just a small line connection and running quite a short leader. That's my leader length there. I don't actually cast my leader knot through the guides, so I get max distance. There's 0 resistance when I'm casting, and that little 1% actually definitely helps generate a bit of extra distance. There's plenty of different options in terms of rod, reel, line that you can run, but as a general rule, something between the 9 and 11 foot space rod length wise that has a casting capability of 1 to 3 ounces, or say 30 to 90 grams. And then a reel sizing anywhere from sort of a 4, 5, 6,000 and 15, 20, 30 pound braid max will, you know, have you bombing casts. And depending on location, time of day, and the conditions, the salmon can be sitting in a variety of different areas. So on some of the surf beaches further down south, there's a lot of occasions where there's big numbers of salmon, huge schools, but they're well out the back, like 2-3 sandbars out the back. You need absolute monstrous casts to get out there, but you can achieve it with things like, you know, your metal slugs. The Ocean Legacy Slingshot, in my opinion, is one of the furthest casting lures. This particular one is a 70 gram. That absolutely flies when you're casting with a 20-pound outfit, and you should be able to hit that sort of range. Nomad Ridgeback long casting, again, 60 grammer, super slim bait fish profile. You can absolutely belt this thing at country mile. And one of my personal favorites, the old GT Ice Cream needle nose, pearl white, great color. Those things you can let sink down, crank them subsurface, or just rod tip up and crank away to you know, entice the surface bite. These things absolutely fly as well. So these are the sort of lures that I generally have tied on from the beginning of the day, because when I'm walking a beach or patrolling in the car looking for schools and the fish are way out the back, I'll have them there ready to go. So I find it easier to cast shorter, but if I need to cast longer, some of these other lures won't give me that. So that's my go-to first option. And just a quick side note to these lures, I use this awesome connection from Ocean's Legacy, their access swivel. So heavy duty swivel with a little pigtail snap on there. So you see, that's the way I've got the GT Ice Cream connected here. Not sure if you can see that clearly on the camera. It's a fantastic way of fast changing your lures. So reason we've got a selection of lures is to be active and dynamic on the mood and conditions of the day. Salmon may, you know, not want to feed on something as aggressive as a chromie or a big surface plug, so you need to start to finesse it a little bit more and mimic some baitfish profiles. So in that respect, sort of that 3/4 distance, so definitely won't cast as far as the plugs and slugs will, but 3 lures that are going to impart amazing action. The Daiwa Sawarash, Ocean's Legacy Keeling stick bait, and the CID Shiverstick. 3 personal favourites of mine. Sawarash, if that's how you say it, apologies, but 110 mils, small bib on it. So this one's a point, shoot, and sort of roll at the desired speed. Semi-subsurface diver. It's got quite a bit of weight for its size, so it will cast well. And it's just a rod tip down and wind, and that thing will just wiggle away like no one's business. The Keeling, this has an incredible action, and you can burn these pretty quickly on the surface, but you can also slow it down, and they have a nice shimmy as it's sinking down. So if you can see the school of salmon, but you can tell that they're not quite so high on the surface, let this thing sink, bounce it around a bit like a soft plastic, and that will get a bite. I personally like that sort of orange gold mullet kind of imitation there. And then one of the goat stick baits on the market, the 125mm 45 gram CID Shiverstick. That's in that kind of sardine pattern there. These, you can work these nice and slowly, and they have this really beautiful twitchy sort of action. I've caught plenty of herring on lures this big, just because their action is just so realistic. Awesome lures. If you're having one of those days where the salmon are just biting their heads off, they're coming right into the shore break, there is absolutely nothing more satisfying than throwing a popper. Poppers have been around forever. They don't get used anywhere near as much. I guess the problem with poppers is their lighter payload. So these are 30 grams. We've got the Shimano beam popper with the flash boost. Awesome at enticing the bite. It's a pencil style popper, so this one will fly a bit further than the trusty Halco Roosta popper, the 105, also 30 grams. Great thing about the Halco is this floats, so if you see salmon duck over the reef, you can throw it across the reef without worrying about getting it snagged. So bloop, let the tail drop, pause, bloop, let the tail drop, pause. Great way to retrieve this. The beam popper, you can burn this with the rod tip down, a bit of a walk the dog action, or you can do that blooping, popping retrieve, and absolutely sends the salmon into a frenzy. Like, I've seen plenty of double fish hookups on the one lure with poppers because it just drives them nuts. So make sure you've got a popper in your arsenal, because when the conditions are right, the bite is amazing. So going from, you know, fantastic conditions, you sometimes will find that there's fish everywhere and they're just bloody shut down. You can't do anything to get the bite. Like, you go through your range of hard bodies and they just won't touch a thing. So there's been more occasions than not that where I've been down the beach, they've been hassled for weeks on end. The sharks have been smashing them, the fishers have been smashing them. They're doing their thing. Like, they're just completely shut down, lockjawed, they won't touch a thing. In some circumstances, I've managed to get a bite, and that will often sort of ignite a switch and they will all start feeding. But until you can get that initial bite, then that school is just going to stay dormant. So in that respect, I like a really subtle approach, something supernatural, a nice slender profile, approximately 5-inch soft plastic. These bait Junkie wave minnows have a wicked action, so they can be fished sort of vertically. That tail just goes wild. sauce it up with a bit of S factor, and you're pretty much giving like a bait presentation in the form of a lure. I would marry them up with, depending on sort of conditions, anywhere from sort of half an ounce with a 3/0 or 4/0 size jig head up to about an ounce and a 5/0 hook. That's not too big, but that'll give you a bit of extra casting distance. The other one I'm really looking forward to trying this year, this will be the first salmon season they've been around, is the Vexed Jig Wigs. This is the Bonchovy, so looks like a fly, but once you get this thing wet, tapers down, looks like just a little blue bait fish. And again, when the bites shut down, offering them something super subtle is often the key to getting the bite and having the best results. So, you know, that's an example of what I carry in my box. There's so many other things you could pack into your selection, other favorite lures. If you've got something that we haven't got covered here, pop it in the comments. I'd like to know what your favorite salmon lure is. But yeah, if you want to get around the Salmon Showdown, jump on board, shoot us a message if you want to know a bit more. But we look forward to seeing you out on the beach throwing a lure for salmon. Catch ya!